everybody here for attending the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee today, Thursday, October the 12th, 2023. Just for your information, this meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page using the following link: www.youtube.com/@town-of-Plympton-Wyoming/streams. Number 2 on the agenda today, if anybody has pecuniary interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting as you see fit. We have no delegations today under item number 3.1. Under number 4, adoption of the committee minutes. It was moved by John Van Clavern, second by Adrian Wigan, that the minutes of Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee meeting be received and approved for adoption. That once again would be the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee. Anybody have any comments or any business arising from those previous minutes? Everybody had an opportunity to read them in depth? No comments? None down there, okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes? Carrie, thank you. Okay. 5.1, stone restoration, Wyoming Public Cemetery. We actually, they're working on restoration today. We had met with what's the gentleman's name? Tom Klassen. And we come up with a bit of a plan, which I think was pretty neat. And this gentleman very good to deal with. The public cemetery over there is divided into 4 different sections. We're going from west to east. You got roads in between them. You get 4 different sections. His recommendations were he charges so much a day, $2,500 a day, flat rate. And he does as many stones as he can. He doesn't put a number on it. He just goes to work. And so his suggestion was, rather than jumping all over the cemetery, is that he takes the first 2 sections this year. So section starting from the west, he's going to take the west and then the next section over. And he's going to work on those and do as many as he can. And he felt he could, well, clean it up, although he says there's always another one falling apart. And then next year, we'll book him for another 2 days and he'll do the other 2 sections. And the whole system can start over again. He felt that was the best buck, for the money that we're going to spend here. We had $10,000 budgeted. But he's got lots of other work elsewhere, and that was his suggestion. Al and I went with him on the tour, and we thought that was a fantastic plan. And it'll use half of our budget. Not that we didn't want to spend the $10,000, it's just that it made sense what he was suggesting. So basically, we give him the verbal to go ahead at this time, and obviously we're having this meeting today. Any opposition to it? And I guess we can go back and say, better book us another 2 days. So, yeah.
Have you seen some of his work?
I have not. Al has been over.
Yes, we were there.
He's done some there now?
He's there. He's there right now as we're speaking. He was there yesterday. The large stone that had fallen apart in the storm there last year was reassembled and bonded. He uses bonding and any of the joints and stuff to make sure that they're doing. They'll walk around and they'll rock check any of the standing stones to make sure there's no issues with them. If there is, he'll rebond those as well. No.
What about some of the stones you can hardly legible? Does he fix that up too?
No, this is just all the basically any stones that have fallen or potentially going to fall. Finials on the top that are breaking off. He's working on a couple of those, trying to get those reestablished.
So just on your comment about legible, I don't recall even having that discussion that I'm aware of.
A lot of the stones can't even read them anymore, you know, they're some they're quite old, but some get moss growing on them. I don't know. What you do about that, I don't know.
Well, it's
Some stones are worse than others.
yeah,
Yeah, my understanding is that we are primarily responsible for safety issues. And the people that own the monuments are responsible for that type of thing. That's what I understand.
that's what my recollection too is. Although, I mean, we run into this in the inactive cemeteries as well. A lot of those stones and those graves, there ain't nobody around.
That's right.
I just don't know the answer to Albert, what your requesting.
Well, no, it's just someone, like, you know, it's hard to read, you
Yeah,
know, that
yeah, yeah.
refurbish that or not, or just leave it the way they are.
I don't recall.
I don't think there's money to do all that, right? I think that'd be a big deal. There's no two ways about it. It's that safety aspect that is important, so people don't, so they don't topple over hurt somebody or that type of thing.
Ella, do you know if there's anything in the cemetery rules and regs about?
So every time a headstone is sold, we collect money in the care and maintenance fund. I could look at the bylaw and see what it speaks to that money being used for. See if it talks about maybe more beyond just broken stones, if it speaks to the cleaning of the stones, that might provide some guidance on what we can use the money for.
Okay, so maybe for the next meeting, if there's something you can find for us and address that, because I have no idea how to address. I've never had it brought up here since I've been on this committee.
Some are well over 150 years old and
Oh, yeah.
can't read them anymore.
When you get out into the inactive cemeteries, I mean, some of them just literally wore right off on that limestone tape. Okay. Well, we'll see what she can find and bring back, but once again, I think what Adrian mentioned about the ownership of those stones are with the families. So I just don't know.
I just wanted to know.
Yeah, no, good. That's a good question. So anyways, we gave him the verbal to go ahead with his 2 days. Now, if there's any opposition here that you want to go beyond the 2 days. I'm sure we can get him this year because he's heading to Toronto and Mississauga.
He's all over Ontario.
And so.
Where's he from?
Sarnia, he lives in Sarnia, but he does Ontario wide.
Huge job.
He's got a neat website if you're ever interested in look at what he does. He does a lot of stuff, not just cemeteries, cenotaphs and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Was he local? Like, I know there's Classens in Petrolia. Is he originally from the area?
Yeah, they've been, he said he's always been from the Sarnia area himself.
He's done stuff here before.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just had him in a couple of years ago, actually.
Yeah.
To do some of this stuff, so.
Make a motion?
Yeah, well, I think we should. I tell you why I think we should is because this committee had $10,000 budgeted, and I believe that was the expectations. So I don't want to undermine it in any which way. If you're okay with what I'm suggesting, fine. We should have a motion, I do believe.
Make a motion to do the 2 sections this year and the other 2 next year.
Seconder for that?
I just have one little question, if
Yeah.
I might. Now, is there any stones that are in the other 2 sections that kind of need immediate attention or not necessarily?
My understanding, just from a report today from Al, that he knew of 2 stones in the southeast corner that he thought he could get over and he's going to do them. He knew about them. So, and he said he would do a walkthrough and if there's anything outstanding, he certainly will. Okay. So do we, Adrian, you're seconder to the motion to go with the recommendation of the 2 days this year? Fill that in. Yeah, I think it's only appropriate that we do that to make sure that it's the committees. We set the budgets, we set the goals. And
I'll just read the motion that I've drafted. That staff be directed to have headstones repaired in half of the cemetery on alternating years. Anything else need to be added to that?
You just catch that last part, sorry.
That staff be directed to have headstones repaired in half of the cemetery on alternating years.
Everybody okay?
What to do the first 2 sections and the other 2 next year.
All in favor of that? Carried. Okay. Hey, 5.2. Memorial trees and benches, Wyoming Public Cemetery. The report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Corporate Services, dated September the 20th, 2023, regarding memorial trees and benches. Wyoming Public Cemetery be received. That the Wyoming Public Cemetery be included in the town's tree and bench policy, and that memorial trees and benches only be permitted in the areas identified by the Wyoming Public and Inactive Cemetery Committee. The staff be directed to work with the requester following the town's tree and bench policy. And you have the policy in your package there. That was moved by Adrian and second by John Van Clever. So any questions, comments around the tree and bench policy?
I can maybe make some comments to this. So 2 of those motions were deferred at our last meeting. The one regarding staff working with the requester to follow the tree and bench policy, and the motion about the cemetery being included in the tree and bench policy. Those were heard at our last meeting, and I was asked to bring forward more information on what other municipalities are doing. So that's where the first motion came in place, that my report be received. So in speaking with other municipalities, there's not really a status quo across the board. Everyone's doing different things. So it's really up to what the committee is comfortable with. But we can't approve all 3 of these motions. You are going to have to defeat some of them because they do clash with each other.
Okay.
So right now, the report is not recommending that we follow the tree and bench policy. It's suggesting that the town install approximately 10 benches and then donors buy the plaques to place on the benches, and we do up to 30 donors per bench. So if you would approve that motion, you need to defer or defeat the ones about the tree and bench policy. And defeat the motion about working with the requester. But if you defeat my report motion, then it would be working with the tree and bench policy and working with the requester as per that policy. So I hope I didn't just confuse anybody.
Well, our position has been no benches. And we're strictly enforcing that. As you very well know, we had some problems over there with certain individual, putting the bench there. I think we ended up, took it out of there, didn't we? Moved it.
It actually just, it disappeared. Because the town didn't take it out.
No, it just disappeared, but we were there were some letters and there was some communication took place, so.
The one from the church that was there, that from.
No, this is a private one. Okay. So the situation here is like Ella says, if we defeat her recommendation. They have so many benches and put up to 30 plaques and that on. If we defeat that, then we agree to go and
You can,
negotiate with the other person.
you can defeat every single one of those motions, and that would be status quo, no benches.
Oh, defeat all the motions.
Oh, no benches.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the individual, they want to put one back by the columbarium. That was discussed, right? And this is where we get into this discussion. Somebody putting one here and there, and if you let one person do it, how are you going to tell the next person, no, they can't do it? We've had requests for out on South Plympton Road out there too, for benches, and we've turned them down. So I guess we need to make up our mind whether we're going to allow the committee to decide, yeah, you can have it, and the next person, no, you can't. You know what that's going to cause. It's kind of.
When do we stay with no benches?
I took a drive to Alvinston. And I took pictures. They have several benches throughout their cemetery. They're that poly material, not, so that they're not cement or anything. They're not expensive. I would say I saw at least 10. They have plaques on them. They're on a cement pad and they're just throughout the cemetery. I'll pass my phone around and you can flip through the pictures. I don't think that these benches cost a lot. I myself would like to see benches in the cemetery in certain spots. I guess because I have loved ones there and I see others sitting in their cars, spending time. But I mean, I'm just one person, so there's a committee that has to decide and I'll go with whatever, but here is just some pictures that I took, if you just want to flip through.
What cemetery is that?
Alvinston,
Alveston, okay.
I went to several, but this, I thought they were very tastefully placed. Under trees, not in the way of a machine trying to get through to, you know, to dig a hole. But, and there's memory plaques on them as well. On the front on one and on the backs of some of the others, so I don't know, it's just.
So that plan would commit then to the town buying the benches, right? Not private.
You said 10, did you say 10 benches?
The report recommendation, yeah, the town install approximately 10 benches, but we would get that money reimbursed back to us by having people purchase the plaques. They would purchase a plaque and then a portion of that would go back towards the original purchase of the bench. So we would end up having ourselves fully reimbursed for the benches, and it would just be a memorial bench shared amongst multiple individuals instead of one person.
And they would be permanent. Would be your plaque or, okay.
Yeah.
We've been trying to limit obstacles around gravestones for lawn cutting and all that, and here we're trying to maybe possibly making more obstacles again. And I don't know whether that's a wise thing to do. Make straightforward, so. Well, they look nice, I really agree with that. But this is something else that will take more time for a lawnmower to go around, and right now they're kind of been open, like the ones you have there. Easy to get around, but down the road when there's more gravestones there.
It's in theory, if someone was going to visit a loved one, they could bring a lawn chair or something too, I suppose. It's maybe not quite as convenient, hey? But I see what you're saying, Albert, yeah. You know, it makes it a lot more finicky if you're trying to trim and leaves down, etc. Yeah.
With Pam's got they're kind of out in the open. You get a lawnmower around it quick.
Those are nice. Yeah.
Filling in with the gravestones and no problem.
Yeah.
Eliminate trees and all that already. And shrubs.
I think if I'm reading this recommendation properly, it talks about this committee having control of where they would be.
Okay.
I think that's what this is meant to be, that we would have control. You're not putting that bench at each, it's the private stone, you're gonna put it out in the open. I believe that's what this first.
Correct, yeah, if
We would have total control.
you went with 10 benches, then the committee would select this location in the cemetery, and that would be it. It would be 10 benches, no more.
Yes, yeah, I'm hearing 10 benches, but I don't know where the number 10 came from. But I'm wondering if you were to put 2 by the columbarium, 1 on each side of the sidewalk there. 3 underneath the trees. See how that goes. I understand it'd be an issue. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer to cut the grass, but it's not a huge item. Not in my eyes. I mean, there's probably been issues that have gone on in the past that I'm not aware of, but I'm listening to Pam here and I mean, we went to VPP maybe 4 weeks ago. When you're looking all around the outside perimeter of the VPP, they got nearly identical benches and they sit on a little cement pad. There are tons of people sitting in them there, so. I don't know.
I can see them parked along the roadway
Yeah.
into the entrance, but you start scattering around through the cemetery.
No, I would agree. I would want them in a designated area and that's it. You put three cement pads under those trees there.
Yeah.
And there we go.
So it's kind of a bit of a compromise, so maybe not jump in with 10, but.
Yeah.
Mhm.
test the waters a bit and see how it goes and then you could always do another 5 another year potentially.
Because the Anglican church has one right along the roadway right now, right?
Yes.
So
That's a fairly recent one too.
yeah, a couple of years ago, they put it, in. You could put more along there. Yeah, along with some cement pads.
Then it'd be easy to clean around.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Like a bit more, and has they're good sized pads, so
Mhm.
makes it easier for lawnmower to get around.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know, most lawn care businesses have the zero turn kind of lawnmowers anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just, I just went to Alvin's tonight, I was there to attend and I thought I'm gonna take some pictures because I saw. Their benches and they weren't expensive, like I know that was an issue that they could be expensive, but I don't feel like this material is that expensive. Anyway,
I would just want to rein in here a little bit, with Ella's recommendation of benches that would accept. Say 10 plaques, I don't think that style of bench would do that for you. Those are more meant for just an individual single plaque built in the middle on your back. Something that she was looking into is something that's, you're gonna satisfy 30 people on one bench. Even the people back as far as the ones that have been turned down in the past, now they have the opportunity to buy a plaque. If we put one bench there with a single plaque in the middle, that's gonna really, upset the people from previous years. So I think it's need to look at a bench that will accept multiple plaques on it, to start with, and that one, I don't think will.
well, these are slats and it's like the plaque doesn't have to be like this, it can be. Family plaque and you can fit them along each bar.
Like the ones along the river there, whenever.
Like if we think that benches are kind of a needed service. Or needed item out there so there's some comfort and so on. Can we not just budget for them? Do we have to sell plaques on them? Because that does open a little bit of a different dynamic, It's always great to get your expenses back. But there is a different dynamic when you start putting family names on it and something missed or their plaque falls off or who knows, it's just a different. Yeah.
So for the longest time, the previous committee has been trying to minimize the sense of decorations and memorials and keep the cemetery so it's basic, maintainable for staff and their contractors. If you're right, if you start to add memorial benches, you're getting a lot of requests and different requests for all over. But obviously there's a need for a bench. So maybe you budget for a couple of benches that are not memorialized. And if people want a memorial, you refer them to our memorial tree bylaw and our policy and our memorial bench policy, because we have lots of beautiful parks with lots of space for trees in the park. Keep the cemetery the way it is, but provide some benches through this committee and leave the memorials, additional memorials outside of the cemetery so that people can go outside of cemetery hours and enjoy a sunset or something.
I think that's a great compromise.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Well, I go with that.
Yes, then that you would all of your motions,
And we'll talk about it when we budget.
correct? And then in the budget, when it comes time to budget deliberation, the committee can direct to budget for one bench per year until the committee says, no, there's enough benches now. Or maybe start with 2, so you can have one in the old section and one in the new section and go from there until you're happy.
Okay, well, just listening in on that conversation, it sounds like we've gone from not wanting any benches to having a few benches. Sounds to me what I've just heard was that we would purchase those benches. And if people want to have some kind of a plaque or a donation or a tree, they can go and do it in designated areas of our parks and, but not in the cemetery. That way, in my opinion, these benches would be under our control 100% where we want them or don't want them. So it sounds like we've got a bit of a shift here. So we'll have to get I guess take a vote on it. And like you said, we'd have to defeat all these motions and go to that recommendation. And I'm assuming our constitution would have to be changed also. I think we got some words in there about benches too, right?
The bylaw speaks to benches not being allowed in, on, or around graves. So,
Putting them in the aisles. And the town who operates the facility is doing it, you should be in compliance with your own.
Yeah, because we don't want to change too much. We don't want people coming thinking they can put. Okay, well. I'm putting a compromise here, so. Who's all in favor of that? Compromise and us putting a couple benches. I don't know if we should put a number on it or just.
Just reminding, you have 3 motions on the floor.
Yeah,
If you want to go with cemetery board directed, installed and budgeted benches and refer people to the town's existing memorial bench and tree policy, you will defeat all 3 motions. And then when we get to the budget later in this agenda, that's where you can direct us to add in funds for starting with 2 benches for the cemetery, not memorial benches, just benches. So these next 3 motions will need to be defeated then to accomplish that, if that's the preferred way.
sound good. Okay, then the next, what I'm gonna read out here is, if this is the way you want it, it's gonna have to be defeated. And this one was moved by Adrian Verwegen, second by John Van Cleveren, that report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Corporate Services, dated September the 2023 regarding memorial trees and benches, Wyoming Public Cemetery be received. All in favor? Against? Yeah, yeah, you gotta defeat this one if you want it, yeah. So,
Defeat the
I asked-
previous ones.
yeah. All in favor?
To defeat it,
Defeated.
Well, if you're in favor, leave your hands down when you
Yeah.
say, oh,
Okay, leave your, otherwise you're. Okay, that's carried, defeated for the first one. Okay, the second one here, that one was moved by Albert. Second by Pam, the Wyoming Public Cemetery be included in the town's tree and bench policy. The memorial trees and benches only be permitted in areas identified by the Wyoming Public and Inactive Cemetery Committee. All in favor? Defeated. This happens in council sometimes too. You gotta make sure you read it right. Otherwise, you voted for something you didn't want. Okay, this one was moved by Albert, seconded by Pam. The staff be directed to work with the requester following the town's tree and bench policy. All in favor? Defeated.
so that requester will be referred on to our existing policy. To see if there's a location in town park that they'd like to see a tree or a bench installed.
You'll put the words together for that next meeting. Thank you.
might not be next meeting, it'll probably be the new year that we look for the benches, so we'll need budgeted funds to work with, so.
And we'll be talking about that here a little bit later in the budget.
And we're talking about the requester, so whoever made that request, we'll have to get back to you.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay. 6.1. Pardon me, 6 account, 6.1, 2024 draft budgets. Wyoming Cemetery, that was moved by Albert, seconded by Pam, the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee. Receives and recommends the 2024 budget for the Wyoming Public Cemetery and the Inactive Cemetery in Wyoming. Brought to council for approved. And we'll start our discussion. Everybody's got it in front of them. Budget. Guess we start off the Wyoming public cemetery there. Actually, this is pretty good. I like the way they've got the actuals on here, so you can see what was spent in the previous 2 or 3 years there. So we got 2023 actuals there. Now, even though some of these may just not be up to date because the bills may not have been paid yet. I'm not sure. Al, is that?
Yeah, that'll be correct, that a lot of your bills are not up, paid as of August 31st. Also, keep in mind a lot of your staffing allocations, so for our staff's time, digging the graves, carrying out maintenance does not necessarily fully get pushed over to near the year end. So those are not to be considered accurate at this time, but just per guideline at this time.
That stone restoration line at 10,000. This year we only spent 5. I would think that's what we're gonna do, right? 5. So is that a good number? Or is it should be 5?
Well, we can cut it back to 5, but we're only gonna spend 5 this year, and we budget for 10. It's not such a bad thing to have a little
Yep.
wiggle room there. Since we already got 10 for the 2023 budget. And I don't believe it will go into the general coffers, will it? The other 5 will stay within the cemetery. Gotta be careful with that too.
I'd have to ask
Yeah,
Norma about that to confirm.
yeah, because if we're gonna give it away to someone else, well. We'll make our own budget look good. But I would have to ask Norman, but I would hope it would stay within the cemetery. You know, because you never know what's coming up, right? So it's nice to have a little reserve.
Yeah, oh, I hear you, yeah. We could have another storm go through this, that, and the other thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
Now, obviously, you can see what happened with our grass cutting. You know why?
That's something, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't come after us for
Oh, yeah.
price of gas and everything.
Yeah.
And the way the grass grew. I'm like, yeah, anytime.
Yeah, we may get some bigger bills there eventually. It depends, because boy, that grass was growing.
Norma's on a phone call, but we'll have that information to you before obviously year end. So if you do need to make a purchase to benefit the cemeteries to ensure that you're not losing those funds, we'll do so. Typically, but overall general surplus does go to the infrastructure reserve. So although it may not be going to the cemeteries, it does go to improving the town's infrastructure as a whole. So it's not being lost, it's just being used elsewhere.
Yeah. Anybody else see anything else on there that, what do we got? $3,000 for tree and. removal? Yeah. That can become very expensive for sure. We spent 4,500 2023. Now, mind you, we've taken those trees that got damaged down, right, Al? They're gone now.
They are gone. There's a few more that are aged, that are gonna give you some issues here. The next year or so, so I'd, keep that in mind. Any storm could, take that away from you, that $4,500 pretty good.
Well, 3,000. We've only got 3,000 budgeted for 2024.
Chair, I do have another meeting starting, so I'm gonna have to jump out.
Okay.
My suggestion, when you come across the benches, I know about 4 years ago for stone memorial benches with a concrete pad, we're paying about $1,200 to $1,300. So I would suggest that you might want to budget at least 15 per bench, if not $2,000 per bench. Okay. So, we'll go motion on the future and go to my other meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, so $56,000, 56,505 for the Wyoming Public Cemetery. Now, last year, like I say, that number in 2023 is probably not accurate. A lot of bills not in there yet, so. But I think you can obviously see that the grass cutting is gonna, Not quite double. What else we got? Yeah.
Decoration Day, that was for Mike Piper and was involved.
Yeah.
Musician.
And the minister too likely.
Yeah. We think that's it. Is that, do you think that's enough? What are we paying the bagpiper? 50,
$70.
70, and the minister?
Both performers received $70 and I believe the minister was. I want to say 100. The one musician did mention they would more money to do it next year. If we invited them again, but I know earlier this year, we also had discussions on. We continue Decoration Day due to the attendance from this year. So I included it, but I figured we would have a conversation about.
Yeah. That's why I thought that might be a little low. I don't know what happened, but look at 2023 with $325. Now for 2024, we've lowered it to $250.
Yeah, the actual was 230 for this year, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't understand where the difference, why was $325 spent in 2023? It's showing, no, 230, pardon me, 230, they lowered it. Okay, hold on.
2022 was
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
230.
Yeah, 230, right, the opposite.
Over the last 3 years, you've had a similar budget of 325.
Yeah.
You've only spending.
Right.
Did you say, Alan, they were hoping to get, they were suggested that they would ask for more if we were to invite them again? So that's the proof in the pudding right there that we can't do it again for the same price we did this year if we want them to do it.
Right.
If you wanted to sing musical.
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, so
So. What do you want to do? Up that to 350?
Yeah.
It's not a big jump, but
Does it lead to a bigger question like, yeah, it did, we did discuss, the attendance and so on, and then we discussed meeting with the other group, and Albert had, you want to speak to that, Albert? You
want that?
had a short conversation.
I talked to Martin Garretts about the Catholic side, Decoration Day. He didn't know why they had it different than we do. But he said no problem if they had the same day, but they only meet twice a year. And they just had their meeting. And so he couldn't give me an answer until he talked with their board. And the board is from London.
oh,
So anyways, he would look into it. But he might not have an answer for next year yet.
well, why don't we up our budget to 350 and we'll worry about that conversation because that. Yeah. That's a big I think that's a big conversation. Catholics versus the Protestant public.
Like, I think these, whether they're the performer or the pastor, I like really asking them to come for anything less than, well, golly, even 200, but 150 for sure. Yeah, that's not the respect we want to show them. I don't think so. So maybe we could just potentially dial it back to 2 people. And pay them at least 100, maybe a couple $100 a piece. That'd be my thoughts. I mean,
I have a feeling. Our pastor wouldn't even charge us anything for it. He wouldn't want anything if he was asked. I would like to ask him though.
right, but it's not a matter of whether they charge, it's a matter of whether we show our appreciation.
He wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And that would be his prerogative.
Yeah, he's right, his brother.
Nonetheless, I think we need to budget for it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's up to them if they don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll donate it back.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I'll take it and boom, and then give it right back, you know?
And the former pastor was saying that he didn't do anything to it.
So what do we want to do here? What do you want? 350, 400, but
I'm saying 400.
Or, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
four. Everybody okay with that? Okay, we'll change that one to 4. They tried to take our $5,000 anyways. Think about that, okay. 16,530 for the grass cutting, I'm assuming that came, had Adam and them would have had.
That came straight out of.
So.
Yes.
let's leave that. Insurance, they'll know that, meeting pay. Other than that, I don't see. Al, you okay with the grass seed?
That meeting pay number, is that gonna go up? Because wasn't there a bunch of stuff that was new this year that and all those online things we had to go through? There was a bunch of stuff there that was different than normal.
So
And does that come out of meeting pay? You know what I'm saying?
all the online HR training,
The online training stuff,
so you would receive.
that's gonna come out of meeting pay?
Correct, yes.
So that was probably. Was that fairly significant? I don't know. I know I spent a lot of time in Florida sitting to that computer. Getting those things done. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, yeah. We shouldn't need any of that in 2024, should we? We got the same committee.
No, I think you're right.
I don't think there's any,
It's good for 4 years, I would think.
well, yeah, it's good for our term, for sure.
I would think.
Talk to our CAO, I don't feel comfortable to make that call.
We got your back, Yella. You just make the decision.
Well, I don't know what training would be. At the time they said, oh, this training we all had to take, and so a lot of it didn't agree with some of it for sure. We've been here forever, but it was said it was a one-time deal for the term of council, but anyways. Maybe you can. It's a question. If there's any change, you're gonna have to let us know before this is approved. Other than that, we might as well just leave it.
Yeah, for 2024, it likely won't be an issue. It's for 2023, that number.
Yeah. Okay, rolling the grass, that's just nothing there. Bring clean up. There's your public works stuff, Al, that 10,000. Just a little bit higher than we've had in the past, that's okay, you think?
Yeah, I think we're still good with that.
Okay.
I mean, we're in and out of there cleaning up, adding soil here and there.
Yeah.
Back up to the sod and soil one. You got topsoil for last spring for, well, thinking, that covered it all? See,
Well, yeah, we're spending about $800 on a truckload of soil. Now so I have to figure into the factor that we grab from that for other jobs too.
oh, okay.
So there's enough there
I just
to
wondered.
do what we're doing there.
$1,000 didn't seem like very much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
I'd say about $700-800 for a good tandem load and then the seating on top of that.
So opening and closing,
We don't stop.
10,000, that's. Looks like it might be fair. So far, only 3,000 in 2023. I don't think there's been that many burials since August the 31st.
I think you probably had a half dozen here in the neighborhood.
This is just the public works allocation. This isn't the money in, this is what it's costed the cemetery. So those public work allocations look low because a lot of it hasn't been done yet for this year. So those numbers are not really reflective as of August 31st. They might only be up to like March, April, May.
Okay, well, okay. Okay, well, Els thinks the 10,000. Not too bad on each. Okay, anything else in that column? All we've changed is went from 250 to 400 on the decoration day. And down below the columbarium, nothing there.
We should probably talk to the benches.
Oh, right. So I'm gonna go with Adam's recommendation of 2,000. I know when they put those benches along the trail up there, they were more than 2,000. They were more like 4,000. Now mind you, they'll last forever. That was a lot through the Lions, like the Lions Club benches.
Yeah,
It was very expensive.
some of our recent benches that we've been going with, yeah, they're right around the $1,300 mark, and then it's a $400 cement pad to put under it. By the time the guys place it, yeah, you're talking $2,000.
Is that your team that installed them, Al? Okay, cool.
We prep, yeah, Cantons would make the cement pad for us to size.
Oh, gotcha.
We dig it out, set it in, and mount the benches to it.
Okay, great.
So would we agree, 2 benches we talked about,
Mhm.
$1,000 for benches?
Yep.
Agree to that?
Yep.
Okay.
So
And
who decided where they're gonna go?
that'd be another topic of discussion.
I think the original request was in and around the columbarium, was it not?
That's not a bad spot to have them because. You know, there's some concrete there at the columbarium already, the kind of walkway approach to it.
Mhm.
You might save a buck or two and maybe be able to put at least 1 or maybe 2 on either side as you walk up to it. Who knows, you know?
I think one for sure. I think one needs to go on the newer side as well,
The newer section, yeah.
somewhere around those.
Underneath the tree.
Driveway,
Under a tree?
Under them nice trees along.
but not in the way of equipment trying to get through.
Yeah, that,
What we can do is, once the budget goes to council and isn't fully endorsed in the new year, I can bring back a report with the map and we'll identify exactly on the map where we want it placed. And then, once the frost is out, then we can. use it to work.
Excellent.
and back to discussion here on, quality of these benches, like. We don't want, something from Walmart where they rot. There's gotta be material that very, if any, maintenance. So I don't know the benches you're talking about, but.
Yeah, they're aluminum iodized, dipped in powder coated type thing, and then they have a nice wood. We put a few in out at Lamrecton in the last few years. Okay, that's one of the most recent ones we have out there, so.
Good benches.
So I do like the idea, maybe one at the columbarium, one along them cherry tree, they're looking into the newer section of the cemetery, awesome. Okay, and then, by the way, when we're talking about benches and stones, the fellows repairing their stones said, don't be surprised if some of your new stones and everything. He said, we'll need repairs too, because he said he doesn't even know why they build them that way, they don't put pins or rebar up from the bottom of the fancy stone to the top, and then they rock all there glued on there. Yeah, and then I have no idea why they don't build them, they can't. Yeah, so in the future, there'll be repairs there too, so.
Is Canton sold? I heard
Yeah,
something.
we heard it is. Yeah. We heard it.
Their official last day was the end of September,
Oh.
but they're both still working there.
Property.
Yeah, that helped.
Being.
St. Mary's, same one that they bought the Dresden plant as well, so.
Good to see it's still going. Okay, moving right along. Is there anything else there? Only other question we got is obviously that half of that stone money, we'll get an answer to that. Hopefully by the end of the day. Okay, let's flip the page over here to the. What is over there? Am I missing a page? Where's the inactive cemetery?
You're on your next one, your next one.
Was it over there?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say, okay, anyway, there's some figures there showing the talent grant. And the skill on. Revenues. Yeah, investment, their interest, but obviously this is money we can't even. Touch. Yeah, I don't see anything in there that.
Openings and closings, is that $11,000? That's what it took for that? Is that what we received?
That's what we've received so far as of August 31st. That's what people have paid for the open and closings.
Nobody donated anything.
Third item down there, transfer from reserve for stone restoration. That did, realize we took that money out of reserves.
So when people pay that care and maintenance, it has to go into the care and maintenance fund. That's a provincial regulation.
Okay. So maybe that 5,000 we're talking about goes right back into there.
I had to guess,
That's what I'm thinking after looking at this. Yeah, yeah, so that's fine, because we can take it back out for the next year. Well, we'll have enough. Okay, well, we'll get the answer. Other than that, anybody see anything out there that? Inactive? And we obviously the grass cutting, there's your prices at the bottom. That's fixed. Would we have a 3-4 year contract with them? Three, I think. So too. Well, that's fixed. Honorariums there, they don't have anything there. This Camlaki restoration, what's that for?
So that is for cleaning up all the scrub in the Kamlaki Cemetery.
Now talking about, you know, the lawnmower can do the cutting over top of some of that rough stuff, right? Isn't that what that's about? Leftover shrubs and stuff from shrubbery and stuff like that.
You're not double dipping there, are you? Oh, sure.
It's less than 1,000.
Yeah, we want to get that cleaned up. Open.
And that is for planting the trees along the driveway. Delivering.
When are we gonna do that in the spring, yeah?
Yeah, we'll try and order up our trees, generally the February, March timeframe. We order up trees. Get a good deal on them at that point.
Yeah, it's a good time to plan them too. Yeah, over the last page there, drain, there's nothing there, lunch for a tour. Does that covering it? Helen?
Yeah, I pulled a bill from earlier this year. I think it's $300.
Where she eating? Where she eating?
Oh, you have beans and.
Wieners.
Sure, celery stick.
Okay. General maintenance, I think you are double dipping, general maintenance.
This is the inactive one now.
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
All that stuff you guys keep requesting on your tours.
Yeah. Actually, you did a good job. These reserves. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's for the inactive. I don't know what the explanation is around that. How that got there, I don't know. Doesn't matter, we're not going to complain about it. And moving on down the page, you got the grant from the town, as you can see very clearly there. you know, we don't have perpetual care funds to cover the expenses in those inactive cemeteries, so the town, the taxpayer, obviously takes care of those inactive cemeteries. And that's typical across the whole province.
Opening of McDonald grave.
Yeah, what's that? I was gonna ask that same question. Yeah,
It was probably something
Canceled.
included way back in the day, and it just has stayed on the
yeah.
chart of accounts, so.
Still on the list.
Yeah, I think should
Good,
remove,
nothing to do with that, yeah?
yeah, we should remove that.
Yeah, I can.
Not about to open, I'll tell you that, Albert.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, and Camelot.
Yeah, you planted, you stay there.
So there's your total revenue, $15,300. That's from the town. Well, most of it. There's $70 there, given investment interest from the perpetual care money. That's why. Okay.
The motion for this, I would suggest you write as amended, since you did make changes to the Wyoming Public Cemetery budget. And then once I make those changes, we can forward it on to the treasurer for inclusion in the budget for council's consideration.
So you're going to update those budget items with Norma, the two things, the
Yeah, I'll add
$4,000 and the
benches and increase the decoration day expense. And then I'll have,
$5,000 adjustment possibly on the stones, where that's gonna go.
yeah, I'll look into that.
So as amended. For the Wyoming cemetery, right? Okay, so moving on here, that was on the mover and the seconder agreed with the word as amended for Wyoming Public Cemetery. Better put budget. Budget topic, okay. Are you guys okay with them word changes? The added words, okay, that would be John Van Clavert and Adrian. So the report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Corporate Service dated October the 4th, 2023, regarding the 2024 Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee. Wrong one. Where is it? That's talking about the calendar. Get the right one here. There it is, right there. It's rolling on the wrong one, so better. Sorry about that. Read this one before I write on it. Okay, so we need some different approvals here. That was moved by Albert and seconded by Pam. You okay with them word changes about as amended? Thank you. That the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee receives and recommends the 2024 budgets for the Wyoming Public Cemetery and the inactive cemeteries in Plympton-Wyoming to brought to council for approval. All in favor? Here, thank you. Okay, so moving on here down to number 7.1 there. Moved by Adrian, second by John Van Claver. The report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Corporate Services dated October the 4th, 2023 regarding the 2024 Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee calendar. Be received as a Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery approved the 2024 committee meeting dates. And that approved meeting dates be forwarded on to the town clerk for inclusion in the 2024 council and committee calendar. Everybody had an opportunity to take a look at that and any discrepancies.
Just have a question, Ella. It says on the bottom of that calendar page, asterisk beside 2024 Decoration Day Committee to discuss. That's the date or the
So I penciled in the date because I didn't know we had talks about canceling or maybe, the Catholic cemetery. So I penciled it in knowing
Okay.
it could be up in the air. It'll get included now that we've set aside budget funds for that.
So does anybody have any discrepancies with that 2024 calendar for the two cemeteries? One in public and inactive? And just be aware that this can be changed. I mean, if something comes up during the year, and you notify me, we can change. Yes.
Oh, good. I was worried. I was really worried.
We try to be flexible. I mean, I have times when I can't attend certain things too, so. Okay.
No. With me,
It's good to me.
That's pretty good. They're all in favor of that 2024 calendar? Gary, thank you.
well, the 3 months we don't meet.
Pardon me?
There's 3 months out of the year we do not meet. February, August, and December.
Yeah, I think I get nine. Yeah.
In June, meet in June, even
Yeah,
decoration.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you want to discuss that decoration day? Yeah. We put it on here, so. Why don't we leave that for another day?
I would suggest, if you're gonna set aside budget funds for it and schedule it, then it sounds like it's a go. If not, I wouldn't bother setting aside the budget funds or putting it on the calendar, so.
My opinion on it, if you don't mind me saying, I just think we should leave it like it is.
I think we shouldn't. Last year was a wet day and like, and I think I counted the dignitaries there and they equaled the attendees. And to me, at that point, that's pretty kind of wild to expect those dignitaries to come out to something and the people that show up to listen to them are equal to the, and that to me says something about the interest in that particular thing. So I would say we should go ahead and have it again this year. I hope it's a good day and see what the turnout is. But even the best turnouts, I think, over the last 10 years have been in the neighborhood of 35 or 40. And that would include the dignitaries and that type of thing. So it's something we should keep an eye on, but let's go ahead and do it for 2024. I would say we have budgeted, like Ella says, and maybe we'll have a good day and see how that goes. That's what my thoughts would be.
You have a minister picked out already or not?
I'm sorry?
Have a minister picked out?
No, I'm sure they don't, not at this point, no.
Then they'd be allowed to ask our pastor. If you would.
We did it on a rotational basis over the past years, I think, so I imagine we'll have. So I don't know what to say to that myself, but yeah,
Some groundwork anyway, so
yeah,
I'll be ready for you.
certainly we.
Yeah.
Have that person for sure.
Yeah, we normally rotate it. I don't recall the same person being there.
No, I think that's, yeah, because how many, there used to be more than there is now available, but that's what I remember over the past.
Why don't we put that on for the next agenda for the end of the year because it's good to get as much advance notice as possible, because these guys have a busy schedule too, right? So especially on a Sunday. So maybe the next meeting, we'll talk about who we would have at the.
Good.
I would suggest maybe we wait until the new year, just to make sure our budget's approved. It can be the February meeting, one of the first things we talk about in the new year. Otherwise, we can bring it up in December, but
Okay, we have a meeting in January, no meeting in February.
also for January then.
So, okay, so can we discuss that in January? You bet it, okay. Okay, that's good. That. Calendar, so yeah, everybody's in favor of that, okay? Number 8, no bylaws. Number 9, no correspondence at this time. New business. 10.1 there, Sam, I think that came through you, did it not?
Yes.
The east lot line, the Wyoming Public Cemetery. Well, this is what I mentioned to you a little bit earlier. The letter, did you get?
I just read the letter.
Yeah.
When I brought it up, I'm kind of looking at the overview on the GIS one.
Yeah, I did that too.
The tree.
Valid concern, I think, right? I think.
Yeah, you've got a pretty large head on a few of those trees that are encroaching over on his property.
He's got it up there, great.
No, there you go.
Can you do something that I did on it this morning, Ella, was. You got 2020, there's a 2020 shot from the sky down, but you can go back to 2003 and the size of them trees is significantly different in 2003 than it is now.
We're talking the ones on the right there, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the eastern boundary of the cemetery there, and those are the trees that. The gentleman was concerned about, I think.
Yeah,
So if you go back to the latest version. There is some encroachment in. You can see the line that supposedly is close to the lot line.
I think that's Dobbins.
Oh, that's your land? Okay. Okay.
and he's just concerned only because he doesn't know if he's getting over, like when we bought the property, this is where it was. So is he too far over? Because if he's not too far over, then yes, it is, he's gonna damage those trees because he has large equipment. But if he should be moving over, he's fine with that too. He just needs to know where the lot line is and if the trees are encroaching on him, then the next ones that are going to be planted, maybe be brought closer to their cemetery than on the lot line.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, if I recall, there's a fence in that lot line as well.
Well, down at the
So-
far end where you dump,
Yeah,
there is a flag.
and there's in this southwest corner, there's some fencing in there as well. That's my I have some family members in that area as well. I do know there's an old fence, but there's a fence in that area. So I would take that as the lot line. Anything on the east side of that would be.
See, where this is it's up maybe a feet or two, and then it goes down where he's planting, but. He just doesn't know whether it's the true lot line. And like I said, he just wants to know, is he too far over? Or are the trees being planted too close to the lot line?
See, the problem is them GIS lines are not accurate.
They're not accurate.
They could be 3-4 feet off.
That's just for reference,
Ah.
a late reference,
So
but they're not.
where would the fence be, Al?
Well, the fence is in the tree line.
Oh, it's right in
If I
there.
recall correctly, because I've gone back in there and it's kind of quite heavy shrubs right there on that, so
Right here.
you can see the fencing in there, but there's shrubbery on the outside of it as well, so. Some large trees in there, there's a few large trees, so. They start to encroach.
Boy, I don't disagree. There are a lot of people, this is not just cemeteries, but they'll plant their trees right on the lot line. And them trees are gonna get big.
Yeah.
People just don't realize.
Any tree that's growing on your side, you can chop the branches off. It's a law.
Yeah.
So why?
So there is a few that, you know, that he had pointed, and he had me come and look, and like this, I think it's this one, and maybe one up farther. That it does, it is quite a ways over on the property. And he's wondering if he can trim it back, such where he's not damaging it or his machinery.
Yeah, if they're hanging over onto your farmland, yeah, you're definitely allowed to hack them.
Yep.
We have no say in that whatsoever.
That's right.
So I guess, yeah, that was his concern, that it maybe if next time we plant, that we kind of go farther in than the lot line, but. Anyway, okay, that's fine. I'll inform the farmer.
No, it's a good point. I mean, really, if you're gonna plant a tree, you should be 6 to 8 feet inside that fence line, because that tree gonna grow out, that gonna branch out 6, 8 feet quite easy, especially evergreens, right?
Yeah,
It made me wonder when I read that letter about the rest of the inactive cemetery. Whether that same situation exists. We never heard about it in all the years that I've been in this thing, but. It's something we should think about when we do our tour next spring.
Yeah.
I think it did come up during this year's tour. Where it's the reverse is happening. Where the neighbors are kind of encroaching, but we just kind of work with it because we don't necessarily need it for the inactive. Keeps the weeds down and we just go with the flow. That's how I understood it. For a few of them, for sure. Yeah.
And that got us into a big discussion here. If you recall, Adrian John wasn't here, but remember the survey, the past year wanted to do some surveys and it was gonna cost.
10 grand, wasn't it? How much was that? 10,000?
70.
At least, yes.
For one.
Per lot, per property. So, you know, you get all 13 of these inactive and. But you're right, it's
Bend a little bit.
especially the one out on South Plympton, the encroachment there like was.
Yeah.
Pretty huge. Or we thought,
Yeah.
without a survey, it.
I don't believe those particular trees in there aren't serving any purpose. Whether they're just old trees at one time when this cemetery was developed. They just left in there as a line fence. I don't think they were intentionally planted like that unless somebody went back there and slipped one in there, you know, as a memorial tree of their own.
Yeah.
Possible, but
So.
nothing's ever been planted there in the 5 years I've been there.
You've been here, yeah, okay. All right. Well, he just was feeling that maybe he was getting over too close and he didn't want, you know, to be doing that either,
So,
so.
no, it's a good question. because-
Is he okay to just trim a few to what he feels appropriate?
Probably,
What do we feel about that? That's what I.
Like I said, like Al said, there's nothing special about those trees at all.
Mhm. He was kind enough to approach us about it before just doing something.
right, right.
Now, the trees along the the south lot line there. They're well inside, I think, of where we think the lot line is,
I
right?
think they're up on the grass.
Yeah.
I think you can get by it fully with a lawnmower.
Yeah. Now, the one that when I looked this morning, at the north. Section of the new cemetery. Is really interesting to me there where on the roadway there, if you zoom down on the roadway. It appears like the lot line and the roadway are awfully, no, to the top, a little further to the north, Ella. Yeah, to the top of the screen. Yeah, see where this is GIS and we don't know where that lot line's supposed to be, but you see where it actually shows on there
Yeah,
is awfully close to the road and it probably isn't right, but it makes you wonder, where is that lot line?
yeah, look where the trees are planted.
Yeah, the trees are on the property next to the cemetery, but
The line, is that the property line?
No, that's just a reference point.
Okay.
They're put in at a certain scale and as you zoom in and out, they adjust it a little bit.
yeah.
It's just for basically fabric
I
references.
thought it looked like some stones. engraved on the lot
Well,
line.
there's a good example of us not really knowing anything where the lot lines are because do we own to the plowed field or don't we?
Yeah, so you look, the top west corner,
Yes.
there's some stones right in there at the fence. Like there's two
Oh,
Well, markers don't like,
headstones there.
oh.
headstone.
Corner there, that's a more of a
Yeah,
So we own,
cremation lots.
Al Phillips is in there.
so we do own north of that line. But- Oh, okay.
I know that stone, yeah.
So that line don't mean.
No, that line isn't correct in there.
I've seen those lines go through houses before.
Yes.
Don't trust them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
a lot of people do.
Now, is there any like metal stakes driven?
there could be.
There should be, and
I
so,
don't think there's anything been done to disturbed in that area that would tear them out.
yeah, so,
Sometimes they get hooked, but
yeah, if it was ever a real question that we thought we just had to know that might be the step to take before a full survey was taken. You just,
well, that's a fairly new
someone
someone.
in with the.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would be.
Advice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If anybody's ever over there, take a look, cause you're right, that's a fairly new section, so.
Yeah.
Be nice to know.
Bar should be, the 1 inch bar should be there.
It'd be below ground though.
Quite often.
Metal detectors would pick them up.
That'd be interesting to know, okay. So Pam, are you, you okay, or do you have any more to say on?
No, that's fine. That's fine. He just,
And we'll make it aware in our minutes, and I'm not even sure there's anything in our bylaw about ensuring that trees are not planted on, right on the property line, because it does, impact the neighbors wherever.
Go chop chop.
thank you.
Okay. At number 11 there, we don't have anything for. So we're going to adjourn. That was moved by John Van Claveren, second by Adrian, that the Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery Committee adjourn until Wednesday, November the 15th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Or just call of the chair. Well, I'm calling it for November the 15th.
And you'll see somebody virtually.
Yeah. All in favor?
Yeah.
Here. You'll be in